Hello, my name is Stacey Monobianca and I'm of counsel at Sachs Stromberger and Vita. I'm here today with Bethany Barrese for today's partner spotlight. Bethany is based out of our Northeast office in New Jersey. She's been practicing law for 9 years and in that time has exclusively represented policyholders. Let's get started with the questions. Hi Bethany, how did you decide to come to practice policyholder coverage law exclusively?
Hi, Stacey. So the answer to that question is kind of funny, I guess. I came to practice policyholder law completely by accident. When I was in college, I actually really wanted to be a wedding planner. I've always been a really organized and detail-oriented planner type person. But then I interned as a wedding planner between my junior and senior year of college. And to be honest, it wasn't exactly what JLo makes it out to be in the movies. It wasn't really that stimulating or fun. And I was also graduating from the University of Connecticut as an undergrad in 2009, and the economy was not so good. So for a business major, things were looking kind of bleak. So I figured I should probably defer the real world for a little bit. Why not go to law school, So I took the LSAT on a little bit of a whim my senior year of college. And next thing I know, I was heading off to UConn Law right after my graduation. And even at that point, I honestly wasn't really sure where I was heading. I took all the usual 1L classes. I made it through that tough first year. And then after that, I got selected for membership on the Connecticut Insurance Law Journal. And so, you know me, Stacey, once I commit to something, I'm really going to commit to it, right? So I knew that I wanted to put my name in eventually for the editor-in-chief position. And I figured if I wanted to do that, maybe I should take a couple courses in insurance law so that I would actually know something about insurance and make it sound like I knew what I was talking about. So I signed up for some basic classes. I took a class, Principles in Insurance, and I took an insurance litigation class. And as fate would have it, I actually really liked it. And it was something that was really engaging for me. I was interested in it. And one of my professors noticed that this was something that I was, had a growing interest in. And he wrote to Jeff Vita, one of the partners at SDV, recommending that SDV hire me after graduation, and they did. And I've been here ever since.
It sounds like it was meant to be. Describe a challenge or event that made you who you are today.
Well, I would have to say that one of the biggest simultaneous challenges and events that's made me who I am today is becoming a parent. I have 2 amazing kids. I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 1.5-year-old son. And I'm also a very type A personality. I thrive on my schedule. I like rules, I like structure, and I like order. Probably, one of the reasons why I went to law school, right, is I have this type of personality. And being a parent, Stacey, a lot of the times, the rules, they just have to go right out the window. Like all of those things, the structure, the order, kids don't know any of that stuff yet. So I would have to say that my kids, they're so amazing and they've made me a better person too. I think that I'm a more well-rounded person now. I'm more flexible, more understanding, more empathetic, and much more creative too than I used to be.
I definitely think that having kids changes you that way. As you know, I have twins, so you can imagine how that has also changed me. So I'm glad that you've had the same experience. Other than your children, what are you passionate about?
I think you're asking me a trick question here, Stacey, because I think I'm supposed to say insurance law, which wouldn't be entirely untrue. But I think that my true and honest passion is travel. So I'll tell you a little bit of a backstory on this one. When I was younger, I was in high school. My Girl Scout troop decided that we wanted to take a little bit of a field trip. Or maybe I guess it was a big field trip because what we wanted to do was we wanted to go on a cruise to Bermuda. So from the point that we decided that onwards, I became completely obsessed with the thought of planning this trip, right? So I sold the cookies, I collected cans and put them in the recycling at the grocery store. I saved up like every $5 that I could because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this trip. And then, the planner in me, I also started hoarding cruise catalogs and like maps of Bermuda and the bus routes and everything. And I researched what are the best beaches? What do you do in Bermuda? What's fun? And it was a long time planning and a lot of work to get there, but we did it. And, it was really just one of those life-changing experiences. I'll really just never forget it. The being on that big boat with the water and the wind and the sky, it was just so amazing. And ever since then, I've really just been hooked. For me, travel, there's that element of planning, which is almost for me as good as the trip itself. And then, the whole experience of traveling, it's just so amazing for me. So typically in normal circumstances, at any given point in time, you could ask me, hey, Bethany, where are you going next? And I'll happily prattle on for, hours to you about my next trip and everything I'm going to do. And of course, during the pandemic, that's not so much, but hopefully, soon we'll be able to take our next trip a little bit of pandemic revenge travel soon.
Sometimes I find that planning a trip is somewhat like planning a wedding. So it sounds like it's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Do you have a next trip planned?
So keep your fingers crossed for me, but we're thinking that we're going to go to Disney in January. So fingers crossed on that one.
Fingers crossed. So other than insurance law, what motivates you?
My husband is far and away my biggest motivator. So we met in law school. And then after graduation, I went to work at SDV and he went to work at a different firm. And then after a year, I said, you know what? I think you would really like what I'm doing at SDV. Why don't you come and work with me? So he interviewed and he got the job, and we worked together then in SDV's Hamden office and then in the Trumbull office for a total of 5 years. And some people think that we are completely crazy. I've had a lot of people tell me there is no way I could work with my spouse, but we really enjoyed it. At one point, our offices were actually right across the hall from each other, so we could just kind of lean over and wave. We got to have lunch together, we commuted together, and it was just really great to bounce ideas off of each other when we were working together. And we don't work together anymore. He now works in-house at a construction company, so we're kind of like temporary pandemic coworkers right now, but not long-term. But he's still far and away my #1 cheerleader. And he's such a great attorney himself that he really just inspires me and encourages me and motivates me to keep going.
That's wonderful that you had the experience of being able to work together. And I suppose it's one of the silver linings of COVID life is that you've been able to sort of do that again, even if it's temporary.
Exactly.
So what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
So one of the things I guess that I've learned over time is that I always have the capacity to do more. The practice of law, it's very demanding on your time and energy. And especially when you're just getting into it, it can be a little bit scary. And I think all that combination of factors can result in a certain amount of stress. So I've learned over time that, I'm strong enough to survive this stress, but also that I can really thrive in it. I've found in my career that some of the situations that have been the most stressful have been the ones that produced the best results. And there's always room kind of to learn more, learn something you didn't know before, to take more on your plate, and to try something that maybe before you didn't really think you were capable of.
I think that's right. And perhaps when you had your children and had to balance being an amazing insurance attorney and handling small kids, that you can actually take on more than you thought, and you clearly have done that. Finally, can you name one thing on your bucket list?
Yes, this kind of goes back to my prior answer about travel, but I would have to say on my bucket list, I can kind of envision it. It's one of those overwater bungalows, where it's very quiet. And there's, the beautiful clear water and things swimming below you and a nice hammock or something like that. And so that's pretty much what it looks like. I don't know exactly where. I've always thought that maybe we would go to the Maldives or Fiji or Bora Bora. I'm not picky, so, but that's a really long and that's a commitment of a trip. So it's definitely one for the bucket list, and check back with me maybe when my kids are a little bit older. We'll see then.
Well, maybe you can settle for the Polynesian bungalows at Disney when you go.
Maybe for now, that'll do.
Well, thank you, Bethany, for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you, Stacy. Great to see you.
You too.